The Tale of Jemima Puddle-Duck. What a funny sight it is to see baby ducklings being looked after by a hen. Listen to the story of Jemima Puddle-Duck. She was very unhappy because the farmer's wife would not let her hatch her own eggs. Jemima's sister-in-law, Mrs. Rebecca Puddle-Duck, was perfectly happy to let someone else hatch the eggs. "I don't have the patience to sit on a nest for a long, long time," she said. "And neither do you, Jemima. You would let the eggs get cold. You know you would." "I want to hatch my own eggs. I will hatch them all by myself," quacked Jemima Puddle-Duck. She tried to hide her eggs, but the farmer's wife always found them and took them away. Jemima Puddle-Duck felt quite upset. She decided she would make a nest far, far away from the farm. She set off one sunny spring afternoon. She went along the bumpy path that goes over the hill. She was wearing a little shawl and an old-fashioned hat. When she reached the top of the hill, she saw some woods in the distance. She thought they looked like a safe, quiet spot. Jemima Puddle-Duck didn't usually fly very much. She ran downhill a little way, flapping her shawl, and then she jumped into the air. She flew very nicely once she got going. She flew over the tops of the trees until she saw a clearing in the middle of the woods. It was an open space where some trees had been cut down. Jemima landed a bit clumsily. She began to walk around, looking for a nice dry place to make a nest. She thought a tree stump amongst some tall pink flowers looked promising. But, sitting on the stump, she was surprised to see a smartly dressed gentleman reading a newspaper. He had pointy black ears and sandy-colored whiskers. "Quack," said Jemima Puddle-Duck. She tilted her head and her hat to one side. "Quack?" The gentleman looked up from his newspaper and looked at Jemima with interest. "Hello, madam. Have you lost your way?" he said. He had a long, bushy tail which he was sitting on because the stump was a little wet. Jemima thought he was very polite and rather handsome. She explained that she hadn't lost her way. She was trying to find a good, dry place to build a nest. "Oh, is that right? How interesting," said the gentleman with sandy whiskers. He folded up his newspaper and put it in his pocket. Jemima complained about the farmer's wife and the hen. "Really, how fascinating. I wish I could meet that hen. I would tell it to mind its own business. But about a nest," he continued, "there's no problem at all. I have a whole sack full of soft feathers in my little house. No, my dear madam, you won't be in anyone's way here. You can sit there for as long as you like," said the gentleman with the bushy tail. He led the way to a house that looked very hidden and lonely amongst the flowers. It was made of sticks and grass. There were two broken buckets, one on top of the other, that looked like a chimney. "This is where I stay in the summer," said the kind gentleman. "My winter house, which is underground, isn't as handy." There was a shaky shed at the back of the house. It was made of old wooden boxes. The gentleman opened the door and showed Jemima inside. The shed was almost completely full of feathers. It was a bit stuffy, but it was very soft and comfortable. Jemima Puddle-Duck was quite surprised to find so many feathers, but it felt very nice inside. She made a nest without any trouble at all. When she came out, the sandy-whiskered gentleman was sitting on a log, reading his newspaper. Well, he had it open, but he was looking over the top of it. He was so polite. He seemed almost sad to see Jemima leave to go home for the night. He promised to take very good care of her nest until she came back the next day. He said he loved eggs and little ducklings. He said he would be very pleased to see a nice nest full of eggs in his little house. Jemima Puddle-Duck came back every afternoon. She laid 9 eggs in the nest. They were greenish-white and quite big. The foxy gentleman admired them very much. He used to carefully turn them over and count them when Jemima wasn't there. At last, Jemima told him that she planned to start sitting on the eggs the next day. "And I will bring a little bag of grain with me," she said. "That way I won't ever have to leave my nest until the eggs hatch. They might get cold," said careful Jemima. "Madam," said the gentleman, "please don't trouble yourself with a bag. I will give you some food." But before you start sitting for such a long time, I would like to give you a special treat. Let's have a little dinner party just for us. May I ask you to please bring some tasty green leaves from the farm garden to make something delicious? Some sage and thyme and mint and 2 onions and some parsley? I will provide the fat for cooking," said the kind gentleman with sandy whiskers. Jemima Puddle-Duck was a bit simple-minded. She didn't get suspicious, even when he mentioned the herbs and onions. She went around the farm garden. She nibbled off bits of all the different kinds of green leaves that are sometimes used with roast duck. And she walked into the kitchen and got 2 onions out of a basket. The collie dog, Kep, met her coming out. "What are you doing with those onions? Where do you go every afternoon by yourself, Jemima Puddle-Duck?" Jemima felt a little shy around the collie dog. She told him the whole story. The collie listened with his wise head tilted to one side. He gave a little smile when she described the polite gentleman with sandy whiskers. He asked her several questions about the woods. He wanted to know exactly where the house and the shed were. Then he went outside and trotted down to the village. He went to find 2 young foxhound dogs who were staying with the butcher. Jemima Puddle-Duck went up the bumpy path for the very last time on a sunny afternoon. She was carrying bunches of green leaves and 2 onions in a bag. She flew over the woods and landed near the house of the gentleman with the bushy tail. He was sitting on a log. He sniffed the air and kept looking around the woods nervously. When Jemima landed, he jumped up quickly. "Come into the house as soon as you have checked your eggs. Give me the herbs for the cooking. Be quick." He spoke very suddenly. Jemima Puddle-Duck had never heard him talk like that before. She felt surprised and a little bit uneasy. While she was inside, she heard quick steps going around the back of the shed. Someone with a black nose sniffed at the bottom of the door. Then, click, it was locked. Jemima felt very scared. A moment later, there were loud, scrambling noises outside. Barking and yelping, growls and yips, lots of commotion. And that foxy whiskered gentleman ran far, far away and was never seen near the farm again. Soon after, Kep the collie opened the door of the shed and let out Jemima Puddle-Duck. Oh dear! Unfortunately, the young foxhound dogs had rushed into the shed during the excitement and quickly slurped up all the eggs before Kep could stop them. Kep had a little nip on his ear, and both the young dogs were walking a bit funny after their tumble with the fox. Jemima Puddle-Duck was walked home carefully. She was crying because of those lost eggs. She laid some more eggs later in the summer. This time, she was allowed to keep them herself, but only 4 of them hatched. Jemima Puddle-Duck said it was because she was still a bit nervous, but she had never been a very good sitter anyway.